Reno's Podcasting Network. In there with Jimmy and Rod. Rod, what are you hot about tonight?
Well, Jimmy, I'm not really hot about anything. I want to test my powers, if you will,
Okay.
right? I know that I can spin a yarn. I know that I can make a reference like anybody else, right? I know that I'm quick with a joke from time to time, right? Let's see if I can actually manifest things. Last week I wore my Roman Reigns hoodie and I said that I wanted to see my tribal chief. And then what did we get, Jimmy? What did we get on Raw this Monday? We get the tribal chief. So, Jimmy, I'm wearing Austin. Can I manifest a Stone Cold Steve Austin appearance? I'm being brazen here, Jim, and testing my powers.
Well, we all wanted it last WrestleMania when The Undertaker took the spot. So, what better way to give us what we really want than to do it at this year's WrestleMania when Cody Rhodes seems to be losing the championship against John Cena and The Rock, and all of a sudden that glass shatters. He comes down, he stuns people. Cody Rhodes gets the win, walks out of WrestleMania a champion. Not a bad idea.
That would be great because I'll tell you this, if we're not going to get a Rock match at WrestleMania, what better way to soften that blow, Jimmy, than with some glass breaking?
See, I go back and forth on this, Rod, because The Rock only has so many years left to put on a really solid WrestleMania main event type match, right? And by so many years, I mean one or two.
Yeah.
We want to see Rock and Roman at some point. I mean, that's got to happen, right? Right? But also, The Rock and Cody is pretty big too right now. I do like the fact that John Cena is full heel. Whenever Cody Rhodes mentioned his name, he got booed. That's a good thing. But I'd like to see The Rock maybe, get a match here, and then we can move on with our lives. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, see, I totally agree with you, but I also could live in a world where The Rock and Roman never actually fight, right? I could live in that world where The Rock just continues to be the final boss character and he's just got no real reason to have any beef with Roman, right? I could live there. And I also could live in a world though where that fight happens and the Cody Roman rematch is held off for a while, right? I like to think both of those guys got a few years where they could still get after it. You know what I mean? Heck, Roman could even walk away for a while and come back, and then
He'd
that
never
would
do
be the
that.
rubber. Yeah, he sort of does it already now, right? He can just do it for he can just times it even like by two, make it strain our credulity as fans even more by being gone for that long. But I just think if we were waiting on that Cody Roman rubber match, right? That is bam. Like that's the one. You know what I mean? That's the one main event that you always got sitting in your back pocket. So why not try to just cycle through a lot of others and just keep that one there? So I like your thought about that. If The Rock's not going to go this year, he better damn well go next year because he impressed me last year. You know, I was a little bit
Yep.
skeptical of what he was going to be able to do in the ring, and he impressed me last year. So you don't think there's a chance he gets in a fight this year yet? You don't think there's anything we can write to see him there?
No, I don't, because what is it going to be? It's not going to be another tag team match. They did that last year, and there's no way to do that. And then the one-on-one match is Roman, but let's just go right to it. Your boy Roman's in a three-way with Punk, who is, by the way, the best in the world,
We'll get to that.
and the architect, the visionary, uh, one of the best in the world as well, Seth Rollins. I think they did that a really well. The nice close up of Seth. The crowd starts cheering. We know someone's coming. You know who it is. And then he also went after Punk at the end. I thought that was huge too. Paul Heyman really going to play something into this, Rod.
Okay, we'll get to Paul Heyman, but first you got I mean, that was a big win for my boy Jim. I mean, a big win for my boy. It's been some downtrodden times for me here on the show where I still ride for my guy, but knew that him being on his back was a thing that was going to happen. So, exciting to see my guy get the victory. Like the fact that bad guy Seth Rollins is sitting right there. I mean, he's
Sure.
sitting right there because the match could have been won numerous times and he did not. You know what I mean? Then the fact that Seth's hubris could get the best of him, that's sitting right there. So we got so many juicy storylines as Seth always cooks up for us. Loved it. And I loved Punk. I got to tell you, Jimmy, I got to tell you, as much as I hated him, I loved him, right? I'm starting to realize that I've got to have the yin and the yang. And Punk for me is what Roman is for Chris, right? Our guy
Yeah.
Chris can see no good in Roman. And so I, in my ever present journey to not be like the old man, am going to force myself to be better. And if I supremely hate CM Punk, I have to understand and give him credit as one of the top guys. And if not for CM Punk, I don't get my guy Seth having a huge victory, and then I don't get Roman having a huge return. CM Punk makes all that possible, and he brings in your guy Paul Heyman. So Jimmy, you tell me how you think Heyman fits into this, and then I'll tell you what I think.
Well, I think that the fact that as long as Seth Rollins wins, you like CM Punk, but if he loses, you don't like CM Punk. I love that. That's fantastic. That
I'm
is so on brand
transparent,
for
Jim.
you. Listen, you want Roman to go away? What better way to have him go away than Paul Heyman turn on Roman Reigns and go with CM Punk for that one favor? Um, I think Punk's going to go out of WrestleMania the winner of that match, and I think it's going to be because of something Paul Heyman did. Now, if you really want a fantasy book here, is that bringing the Beast back? I don't think so. Not quite yet. There's still a little bit of stuff going on with him in the legal world, so let's calm down on that just a little bit. But I think Paul Heyman. I think he goes with CM Punk for the next few months after WrestleMania. Rod.
Okay, that's cool. I'd like to see that. He's definitely a Paul Heyman guy. But Jim, what if somehow, and this is of course going to be so on brand for me too, but
Oh, okay, okay.
what if somehow a new Paul Heyman guy was created
Oh,
after this three
okay.
way, right? What?
A Penta.
Ooh, okay. Now I'd like that, but yeah, I just like what if it wasn't? What if it wasn't Lesnar? You know what I mean?
Chad
What if it
Gable.
was just a new? Ooh, nah. I like what
Okay.
Gable's doing right now. I hope we have some time to touch on that on the
We
show. I
will.
I enjoyed that little segment,
The
but
Gable
no, I
brother.
just I would like it to be a new guy. And what I hear, okay, what I'm reading a little bit in some of the dirt sheets are there's some work behind the scenes with Paul Heyman and Braun Breaker, right? He's
Okay.
trying to make sure to maximize Braun Breaker because Heyman ever loves the business, wants the best for the business, wants to help guys out, right? So what if it was Braun Breaker? Because I'm telling you, I'd like to see Braun drop the belt. Braun could drop the belt and then show up at WrestleMania in a bigger way in something like that.
Well, but would he lose the belt at Mania, or would it be before Mania? And then if it's before Mania, how do you not have Braun Breaker on Mania?
You see, you don't have him on Mania till he shows up at the end of the match, right? And he doesn't even factor into the schmozzery, right? I'm not saying that
Okay.
Breaker gets to factor into a three-way match between those guys, but then at the end of the match, right, a scenario's created where it looks like Heyman's in peril to a couple of different guys, right?
Ah,
Because they figure out an end in the match that doesn't necessarily sell it one way or another, right? Roman ends up looking at Punk, Punk ends up looking at Roman. They both look down at Paul Heyman. Heyman's in trouble. All of a sudden, Braun Breaker comes out from the back, wipes out both of them, walks out with Paul Heyman from WrestleMania.
okay. I think that could happen. Um, I don't know. I think it could. I think that's a good idea. Speaking of three ways, Rod, let's talk about another three way we got going here. We got Rhea, Bianca, and Io in the three way. Here's the deal. Love all three of them. Think it's fantastic. I want to see Rhea. I want to see Bianca in a one-on-one match. I really do. I think the way that they pushed Io out of the way. Now I know Io came back and slapped the shit out of both of them. Awesome job there, right? But I just think the way they pushed her out made her seem not as significant, and the furor and the promo work and the screaming at each other. I loved the Bianca and I loved the Rhea segment in there. It's going to be a good match, but I don't know if I like the three way here.
Here's what I wonder, right? We give Triple H an awful lot of credit for a
Sure.
lot of things around the WWE. And I wonder if this is just Triple H saying, all right, you guys are out here thinking that I'm trying to force Io Sky on you. We're automatically trying to make Io Sky a big deal. I gave her the title belt. Some of you are not happy about that. So I'm going to give you a promo where that's exactly what the promo is, right? It's Rhea, it's Bianca. They're doing the great. And then there's like, Io doesn't even matter. And then she comes in at the end and she reminds you, oh, no, I do matter because this is a slap to end all slaps, right? So I'm excited for this, Jim, because you could you could convince me any one of these three women walks out of WrestleMania with a belt, and I would buy it. The one that I'm the least excited about is Io Sky, and sorry to all the Io Sky heads out there, but that's the one I'm least excited about. But I could still buy it. And then one I'm most excited for, Bianca walking out of heel, Jimmy. And I
Yeah.
have a theory as to how that might be able to still be possible.
Well, let's go to the random theory of the week. What do we got, bud?
Okay. We're seeing a lot of furs out of Naomi, right? That's been a big thing with Naomi, the furry coats all the time, right? What if all the story needs to be Bianca was a coat, right? It was a coat that Bianca was wearing to look like Naomi, and it was actually her the whole time. But that's like, not possible because Bianca was in the ring when it went down, right? I thought I had something there, and then as I was saying it,
It
I
could have.
remembered that
That's
Bianca was in the
interesting though.
ring.
I do like the fur thing, and Naomi did admit to doing it, but also Bianca's like, no, no, blah blah blah. I could see either way. I could see that. Well, I think she's going to go heel. I think so for sure because Jade's got to be the face. Jade's beating the crap out of everybody. She's Goldberg right now. She's killing Naomi. That match is not going to be long at WrestleMania. I'll tell you right now. That will be a short matchup for sure. So many things to go to, Rod.
Naomi's got some Natalia energy in her, Jim. I like that you called that out. That she's willing to take that loss, right? That's something Natalia would do, and just continue to be like given good spots because she's willing to go down on her back for the company in a spot like that. And Naomi's striking me as that type. So I like your call there. That it's probably going to be a squash because we got to have
Natalia,
something not take a lot of time at WrestleMania.
Natalia, of course, having a book come out and going down to TNA in a tournament down there. So good luck with her on that. Let's talk about your boy Chad Gable. Out of nowhere, the Lucha mask is his. He almost killed somebody on the Hurricane Rana, but then did a couple nice moves at the end. Michael Cole had no idea who it was, even though he did, but he just didn't say his name. Did Michael Cole just forget Chad Gable's name?
And that's unfortunate for Chad Gable if that's what happened because he's not as important as you and I would like him to be, but he still deserves respect. Here's my question, okay? That's fine. Michael Cole, we know that he's trying to play along and keep up the kayfabe as much as he can at times. Who was in the mask that got hauled off by the police? That's what I want to know because it was clearly
Isn't that
Chad
great?
Gable in the mask out there at the
That's
wrestling.
so
So who did
fantastic.
that? Because that wasn't one of the Creed brothers. Those dudes are too huge, right?
I
So
because that's
that
why I
was
was
not
thinking
going
it's
to.
got to be a Creed brother, right? But no. Was it like oh God, who could
What's
it
that?
be?
Is
I
that
don't know.
one dude still around? That guy that was kind of like a wild man, never really had a gimmick up from NXT. Ethan or something or other, wasn't that his name? No, that's Ethan Page is down in
That's
NXT
Ethan
now.
Page now. But I just think that was great, and Gabe was like, so I think that was pretty cool.
I'm excited for this though. I am
Yeah,
because it's like you and I many times have said on this very show before Chris joined us, and then times where we've yelled at Chris that we just want good things for Chad Gable, and it's
sure.
just not really possible as Chad Gable. But this move where we know Chad Gable's trying to be a luchador kind of blue blazer style, it's going to work for him a little bit, right? Is he going to be WWE champ? I know, not blue blazer.
Eh,
Sorry. I
let's not go
apologize.
all the way there.
No,
Not.
that's that's not a good one. That's not a good one. I couldn't pull anybody else that like we knew was in
How about
character.
Mr. America when Hulk Hogan put anyway.
Yeah, see again. All right,
Actually,
so
maybe
maybe it's
Chad
not
Gable
so
doesn't
great.
want to wear this. Maybe Chad should take it
Wait,
off.
Jim. Maybe he will get credit as the one who breaks the cycle. He breaks
Maybe
the
he will.
bad karma. Right?
Maybe
He's
he
like,
will.
we love Chad Gable. Come on, Chad Gable. Don't have some sort of scandal break in the next coming months.
Speaking of scandals, I guess we'll just go to Logan Paul. I don't know.
That's not bad. That's not
Yeah,
bad. I
it's
like
fine.
that.
I mean, nothing major, right? But whatever.
I was
He might
impressed
buy
by this
TikTok.
segment, Jim.
I'm sign me up for Logan Paul, AJ Styles. It's fine with me. I think Logan Paul is embraced the heelness as much as you humanly possibly can, especially when you take an American flag in Canada and then just run down everybody. And you want to. What was the comic's name again? I know him. I just can never remember his name.
Andy Kaufman.
No, the comic that was there.
Oh, Andrew Carlson.
Yeah. Anyway,
Andrew
um,
Schultz. Andrew
and
Schultz.
Schultz. Okay, wanting to beat him up, and then AJ comes out. I sign me up. I'm fine with it. AJ would probably take the loss in this one, I would think, but I think it's going to be a really solid match, though. So I'm fine with it. Let's go.
I loved it all day. This is one of those times where you know that I will be watching wrestling at a time that you're not watching wrestling, and then I will just text you something that you then later have to pick up the context for. And I told you that I was all in on Logan Paul going full Andy Kaufman. I'm a celebrity. You
Yep.
Reggies out in the
Yep.
crowd. I mean, just prancing around. Like I was in on all of it. If Andy Kaufman somehow works David Letterman in if not Andy Kaufman, excuse me, if Logan Paul somehow works
See,
David
doing it
Letterman
already.
into a gimmick at WrestleMania, calling back to Kaufman, Lawler on Letterman. I'm on Letterman. A lot of
Letterman,
stuff I had to say there, but I got it out. I think
you
that
did.
would be incredible. Logan Paul, all things are possible, Jim. That's unfortunately what's true. All things are possible, meaning He's got star power that he can bring certain things to the WWE. He's got charisma, whether we like it or not, and he's a hell of a wrestler. I mean, it's just one of those things that, like, whether you like it or not, all things are possible with Logan Paul. And it's just like, how much is he willing to be around, and how much does Triple H want to write for him to do is kind of the question with Logan, really.
Mhm. So this Jay Uso entrance at the beginning of the show, I think, is really cool. I love it. Right. But the Gunther Jay Uso feud, I think, is getting a little old already, and we still got 8 weeks to go. Um, we got to do something here because it's gone too fast, and we've still got so much time. I am a little nervous about this one.
You should be a lot nervous about this one. I mean, we're basically already to just Gunther's just attacking Jay Uso for no reason. I mean, we're already just at that. We've got nothing, so let's have Jay just go out and do what he does, and then Gunther's just going to attack him for no reason and not actually say anything. I mean, when we're already there, Jim, we don't have much. So
Yeah.
how we're doing that for 7 weeks? No, we were all a little nervous when this happened. We didn't want to say it because we love Jey Uso, but we were all a little nervous when this happened. I immediately think as far as I was willing to go as well. I mean, this is just main event night one. Maybe it isn't even main event of either night. You know what I mean? And like we just
Oh
kind of
no,
already knew that. And
no.
so the only thing, does Jimmy Uso get involved somehow maybe and inject some life into this?
Well, I mean,
Because
he's got the McIntyre Priest. They're going to be doing that stuff until Mania when Priest and McIntyre go at it. By the way, Corey Nance, shout out. You are our best fan. You are our number one fan, and we really do appreciate everything you do,
thank you,
and
Corey.
your amazing hot takes on everything in the world. Love you, Corey. Yeah, I unless they do want to bring in more tag team matches, things like that. It's going to Rod. It'll be
Because right
either
now
the
he's
number.
running. Listen, I love Otis and crew, but right now he's running with Otis and crew, right? Like he's doing hits on Raw where Otis and Tozawa are coming out. You know what I mean? Like cool. We
Oh,
love
was it
seeing
Tazawa?
Maxine.
Was it Tazawa in the mask?
No, see, it couldn't be because he's not going to help Chad Gable. Because that was my other thought. That's the only
Oh
other small guy I
yeah.
could think of.
No,
But he's
I
not going to
wasn't
help.
thinking right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
He's not going to help Chad Gable. So I mean,
You're
it's
right.
like it's not going. It couldn't be Mello. Did he borrow one of those guys from LWO that I can never remember their names? Is it Cruiser del Toro? Did he get one of those guys?
I don't
Are
know.
they
But
still even
anyway,
around?
I
Is it
don't
one of
know.
it couldn't have been one of the guys from AOP? They're not still around, are they? The guys from
No,
AOP
AOP.
aren't
It's
around,
I
are
will say it's not one of the guys from AOP. Probably not him. Yeah, yeah,
they? Could have been
yeah.
Paul Ellering. Is Paul Ellering still around? He's pretty
He's
small.
the body type. But I
Yeah,
don't think he's as agile though anymore.
that's true. He's having trouble getting around.
Hmm.
Where
So
were we,
it's going
Jim?
to
I
be the
sidetracked
number.
us.
Jay and Gunther is going to be the number one, the first match on either night one or night two, probably night one. I mean, that's going to be a terrific audience participation there. That's going to be great. So they'll do that the first match of night one or night two, and
So Jay Uso fights first match of WrestleMania 2 years in a row. Because I believe
yeah,
Jay and Jimmy led off WrestleMania last year in a match that we all kind of wanted, but they had no build for. Am I wrong here, or that was WrestleMania last year?
that was WrestleMania last year, and it we thought it was going to be better than what it was, and it just wasn't. This one, I don't see. I don't see how it can be bad with Gunther involved.
Let me ask you about these entrances from Jay. Do these little kids, do they write in somewhere? Are they getting grabbed by somebody whose job it is to pick out a
Yes.
kid? Is it on, or do they already know this is the aisle they're coming down? So just if you lucky to be in that aisle, or do they determine the aisle based on the kid they pick? Which
No,
way
I
do you think
think
they
it's.
go?
I think it's more. They know the aisle, and where's the closest kid? Put him up there. Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
but shout out to those kids. Most of the kids seem to know the assignment and they do it really, really well. So that's great. I guess maybe now that I think of it, Gunther's got to interrupt him one time while he's doing that, right? That's the next thing he's got
Yes,
to do.
yes,
He's
one
already
hundred percent.
mocked him like and done it his own way, so he's just got to come out one time and just like boom, clock him in the
What if
middle of the
Gunther
crowd.
is dressed as a kid
He's gonna look
and
like a big kid. If he still had Ludwig Kaiser around helping him out, you know what I mean? Kaiser can look small at times.
he can.
Maybe that's who
Uh,
was helping Gable.
no,
No, Kaiser's got his own stuff going on. He wouldn't
yeah,
help Gable. I want to figure
maybe
this out, Jim. It
maybe
can't just
it's
be a PA. It's got to be somebody.
maybe it's Gable's twin, and we just don't know about it. There you go.
Oh,
Like the
what's Chad
second, like
Gable's twin's name?
Kurt Angle's brother, the Edgeheads. All the could be.
So Chad Gable's brother's name is Dan Gable, or is it Tom Gable?
I doubt it's Dan Gable, but Chad, Corey. Shout out to Nance, maybe. Um,
Corey, Steve,
yeah.
Steve Gable.
Ooh, I like Steve Gable.
Shane
Chad and
Shane
Steve.
Gable,
Chad and Shane Gable. Yeah, throw it in the
Charlie.
comments here, everybody. What do you want? Chad, Steve, Shane, Gary, whatever.
I like just throwing out people's names sometimes.
Oh, goodness. We have to talk about SmackDown real quick because it was a really good night for us. Real solid night for us. Chris King is still celebrating. He finally got the newspaper saying that LA Knight, yeah, is your new United States champion after beating Shinsuke Nakamura in a match that I don't think anyone thought he was going to win, including the fans in the arena because they weren't as hot until the end of the match. So good win for LA Knight there. I expect them to have another rematch here pretty soon, Rod.
What was the point of
I don't know.
Shinsuke beating LA Knight? Because like, how many times did he even defend the belt?
Like once against LA Knight,
I,
and then
I
yeah,
feel like
I
he
don't
was only
know.
on TV 3 times after he beat LA Knight for the belt. Like, I mean, like, I'm not trying to be anti Shinsuke here. I love
Oh,
Shin.
you're
Sorry,
yeah.
excuse me. I know I'm not allowed to call him that.
You never ever call him that again.
I'm sorry. I
I
like
hate you.
Shinsuke, but I don't get what the point of that was. And then, okay, a rematch, fine, whatever. But LA Knight's gonna beat him again. So like, I don't know. We're gonna have somebody, Carmelo Hayes, maybe. Is Carmelo Hayes and LA
Anybody?
Knight gonna
Yeah.
have a feud that matters? I could see that possibly.
There's a couple of former WWE uh, wrestlers who were recently let go by AEW, and they could come back. Aleister Black is one of them. Are you familiar with Aleister Black's work, Rod, or is that
Yeah,
before you?
he was something in the WWE right as I was coming back, and then he kind of left. What was he in the
Yeah, he was
WWE?
he was NXT, and then when Paul Heyman took over, he was gonna like shoot him to the top, but that lasted for like 5 seconds, and then he was just kind of middling in the WWE, like everyone from NXT did, because Vince McMahon hated them. But then also Rusev may be coming back as
Is
well because
Lana
he has
coming
been let
back?
go. They actually they apparently did get a divorce or separated, but then they reconciled here recently. So maybe you never really know. So that'd be kind of neat.
Macho and Elizabeth managed to continue working even when they had trouble. So I mean, come on. We all love Lana more than Rusev anyway, Jim. Let's be honest.
Oh, no question. Um, Pretty Deadly Rod. Congratulations.
I
They are the
know.
new number one contenders to Johnny Gargano and Triple H for the tag team championships.
Johnny Gargano and Triple H. Shout out to our guy, R Truth. I was excited to see Pretty Deadly getting a W up there on the board. You know what I mean? Like that's exciting times for my boys. They normally are supposed to come out, do the most fabulous entrance the WWE has ever seen, and then lose. That's what they're supposed to do. And they have been getting a little bit of grit, right? They've been getting a little bit of spunk recently. They haven't seemed as afraid of everybody, right? They've been kind of walking around with their chest bowed out and their little circles cut so you can see their finely coiffed chest hair underneath there. And they've been actually getting some wins. Let's go, Pretty Deadly. I could see Pretty Deadly winning the tag team belts here, Jim. I could, because nobody cares about your guys Gargano and Ciampa anyway. Nobody does. I feel
Shut
bad
up,
about
Rod.
it, but it's true.
It's true. You're not wrong.
Nobody cares about Pretty Deadly though either. So
No
that's
one
why
cares about
ultimately,
either of them, so that's going to be a pretty quiet match.
do
Obviously,
people
Naomi
care about
did
the
it.
Street Profits? Can they save the tag belts when they finally get back to the top
I
of the
think
mountain?
so. Yeah, I think they can. I think they can do that for sure. People love the Street Profits. They
Can the
just want
New
to.
Day semi save the tag belts by being a big deal as heels now, Jimmy?
Well, on the Raw for sure, they're gonna. I think they can definitely win the belts on Raw, and continue to move up. Yeah. See,
Is there
why do we
multiple
have two
belts? Who
belts?
are the tag team champions on Raw? Oh, the War Raiders.
The War Raiders. Yeah,
God, that's right. I forgot about the War Raiders.
because the War Raiders are awesome, but
They are, but
again, no one cares.
sorry,
All
War
right,
Raiders.
let's.
Listen, thank
Yeah.
God they're not still the Viking Raiders, Jimmy, or they'd be coming for me.
All right. Before we get out of here, let's talk about WrestleMania card where we are now, just to kind
Ooh.
of gauge our interest on it. Undisputed championship, even though there's two championships, but whatever. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. I am very excited for this match now. I think they've done a great job of
What
getting
do you
some
mean a
intrigue
great
into it.
job? No, no, no. What
Intrigue?
do you mean a
No, no, no,
great
no.
job?
Intrigue in the match, but now I need to see what Cena's going to do on Monday.
Jimmy, how are we going to have a Raw
I
at
don't know.
Madison Square
Stupid.
Garden?
I
At
agree.
Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. WWE hypes it up all the time, and John Cena's still not going to show his face. I mean, Jimmy, how in the world are we going to build a WrestleMania main event? Is Cody literally going to have to do the whole thing on his back and Cena's not going to be around? Is that the heel answer, right?
They'll
Is
be in the
that the
same
heel John
building.
Cena?
They'll be in the same building on Monday. But you went Elimination Chamber, Raw, SmackDown, Raw, and SmackDown. So 4 shows in a row with no John Cena. I don't understand how they didn't do that. But like I said earlier, when Cody Rhodes mentioned John Cena, he did get booed. There were really
Yeah,
no
but that's
cheers at
nothing
all.
new. People used to boo John Cena when he came to the ring. So I
Yeah, this is
mean,
a different boo though.
is it?
Yes,
I'm not so
we'll
sure it
talk.
is right now because of the fact that people want to see him. They want to see him in the ring acting heel. They don't want to just boo him.
Well, I'm a little nervous. He's just going to come out again and walk away again and not say anything.
That's what I mean. That's why maybe the best thing for him to do is just not show up. If it was hustle, loyalty, and respect, let me show up and give you a show week after week. Heel John Cena's just like, F you, I'm not going to be here.
I'm getting paid no matter what. Let me just leave. I don't need to
I'm
be
going to
there.
the Hall of Fame. What's the
Yeah,
matter to
what are you going to
me?
do? And I'm going to win the championship. I don't even have to do anything.
I'm excited for the match though, but I don't think he's going to win. I can't believe that you think he's going to win.
Who?
Cena.
I think I've changed. I think Cody's going to win. I think
He's not
Cody's going to win.
Cena's not going to win the belt for the record time as a heel. He's just
Yeah.
not. You're smarter than that, Jim.
Yeah, I know. I listen. I'm allowed to change my mind.
You are.
I'm allowed to throw my microphone too if I want.
What
Tiffany
else are we looking
Stratton
at?
versus Charlotte Flair for the women's championship. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good of a match is this going to be?
That's a very good question because I haven't seen a lot of my girl yet, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna learn a little bit. Pardon me. Miss Friday when she takes on BFAB,
Yeah.
apparently.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm gonna see her back in the ring a little bit there. BFAB's getting a little better in the ring, but I don't know how much of a test she really is gonna be for the queen. So it's just gonna be seeing how much cobweb she has. I don't know. I think Tiffany Stratton can wrestle, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how down in the grit and like just like pulling out moves off of things that didn't go exactly the way they were supposed to, Tiffany Stratton can do. But when things are going the way they're supposed to, which I think Charlotte is pretty good at making sure things go the way they're supposed to. But then
Or she'll
again, she
beat the
has
hell out of you.
that's what I'm saying. Or she
Yeah.
has a tendency to get pretty mad the first time you mess something up, and then it can go off the rails too. So I guess I'd say I'm pretty confident, but only probably 70%, Jim. I think there's a good 30% chance this thing could go wrong.
Yeah, I was in the 70%, 7 out of 10 as well. Tiffany it was good in the ring. It just doesn't seem like she's had to do too much recently, just because where she's been and what she's done. So hopefully they are able to pull off a good match. We talked a lot about the Gunther and Jey Uso match. I think it'll be good. Hopefully, it has the heat that we
Of
we
course, it's
want it
good.
to have.
We are on record as saying anything Gunther's involved with is
Yeah.
good. So I mean, there's always a floor when it's a Gunther match.
Io Bianca and Rhea. I
Who
think
do you
it'll
want to
be a
see win that
hard hitting
match?
match.
Who do
Who do
you
I want
want
to
to see win?
see? I want to see
Yeah.
Bianca win. I think it's time. Let's get her back to where she belongs.
Do
More
you want her
respect
still
on Bianca's
continuing to
name.
be the EST? Do you want her to kind of be the female John Cena and never change, or do you want to see a heel
Oh,
turn for
she's
her
got to be a
soon?
bad guy. Oh, definitely a bad guy. Yeah, yeah,
All right.
yeah, definitely a bad guy. Reigns, Punk, and Rollins. I think we're both on the same page. That's going to be a really solid matchup there.
I gotta go. I gotta go. Reigns. I gotta go Reigns there. I think. I think because if Reigns isn't going to fight Cody now, we got to give him a win over the other big guys for him to keep his stature, right? The only way that Roman can keep his stature and not show up very often is if he wins this kind of match. Am I you follow me?
So, do you think Uso Jay's going to win the world title?
No.
Because if Jay loses the world title, or if Gunther retains, I think Punk wins this match and Punk goes after Gunther.
That'd be that'd be cool. I dig that. I dig that because would we see a Punk actually showing respect to somebody? Because what could Punk hate about Gunther? Because all the things that Punk trashes people for, Gunther doesn't do.
Yeah. So maybe it's a different type of Punk we see, or does Jey Uso win and Punk goes after him and we get heel Punk? Because maybe Punk goes heel here to get the win in the triple threat, and we get heel Punk against face Jey Uso.
Will
Maybe.
the crowd let Punk go heel, Jimmy?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They
Because he
will.
really,
He's done it. He's done it before masterfully.
but they'll
Oh
still
yeah.
love him though, right?
It'll be well. It's kind of like a Kevin Owens heel, where people boo
Or
him.
Roman, because it got interesting at times. We would talk about it how it'd be interesting at times with Roman, where fans were really actually excited to see him, but he was supposed
Yeah.
to be the number one heel. Like
Yeah.
it gets weird. It's different to write those angles, I think. But you're better with these things than I am.
Yeah. Randy Orton, Kevin
I just think
Owens. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go. Yeah.
I just think it's like with Punk, I just don't know how you can write him to be that much of a bad guy anymore because basically this guy got like held up almost like, pardon me, I'm not trying to be blasphemous here, but he got held up as wrestling Jesus for like a decade. You know what I mean? Like I just think it's going to be really, really hard to like have this guy written as a heel because even the bad stuff he does and says now, people go crazy for it. You know what I mean? Essentially, like my guy Rollins, who does heel things and is a good guy. I don't know if we can get Punk heel again.
Punk gets over with saying a lot of the truth of what he's really thinking on the mic. Maybe he goes where he lies on the mic and says things that aren't true, and that's a way that we can go about getting people to
Okay.
go against him. I don't know.
Maybe when he goes with Heyman, right? Maybe he starts
Yeah.
saying some things when he goes with Heyman, which you seem to think might happen after WrestleMania. So I could see that. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, I think it's going to be a hard hitting, classic matchup, 12 minutes long. Um, I I really want Kevin Owens to win, but I think Randy Orton's going to have to get the win on that one.
I think we want to get Randy back in a situation where he may be able to get a world title belt himself, right? Because I think there's an
Sure.
easy storyline to write there. Like, hey, John, wait a minute. I'm not far behind you. You know what I mean? What if I
Yeah.
stood in your way? You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a storyline that you could write there between Randy and John because they got some history anyway. So here's my other question, though, Jim. Why do we have to call it the punt? It's way more like a field goal. Okay. Now, again, I wasn't around during the time that he was doing it, but isn't it way more like a field goal than it is a punt?
Man, do I care about that? I don't. Yeah, it is more of a field goal than it is a punt because you've got it. The head isn't moving toward him; he's moving towards the head. So you're correct. Yeah, and
But
of
I'm
course,
excited
splitting
that
the
that's
uprights,
back.
things like that. Yeah, no, you're facts. You're facts.
Is he going to do that to Kevin Owens, and that's how the WrestleMania match is going to end?
I think so. Yeah, I think he punts Kevin Owens.
Because Kevin
Yep.
Owens just isn't going to win, right? I mean, we've just
No,
resigned ourselves to Kevin Owens just
never.
doesn't win matches.
Stupid. Uh, Damian
Do we
Priest and
see
Drew Mac,
Sammy? Does Sammy come back somehow? Maybe though. Is that maybe how the ending gets? We haven't
and he,
seen Sammy the whole time. This is the world we're living in, right? So we're talking WrestleMania. We haven't seen
yeah,
Sammy the whole time, and then all of a sudden his music hits at WrestleMania, and he comes out and he helps Randy somehow.
that could happen as well. I think that easily could happen because take away Kevin Owens' big moment at WrestleMania. Maybe Kevin Owens has a one, a two, da 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 da. Yeah, okay, yeah, that could happen.
Because Sammy's gotten, I mean, he's gotten a lot of faith put behind him at the last two WrestleManias. Think about it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? He got to
Oh,
fight
big
the,
time,
the tag team match, and then he got the Gunther match.
big
He was
time.
Rocky essentially at last WrestleMania.
I'd like to see him win a world title here this year.
Be
I think that'd be
awesome.
pretty cool.
Be awesome. I don't know how we
Damian
get
Pri-
there, but it'd be awesome.
Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre is a match that it's just like, hey, you guys are workhorses. Thank you.
So boring.
I
So
know.
boring. I'm so glad Chris isn't here because if Chris was here, we'd have to spend 6 minutes about how he's so excited for this. It's so awesome that Drew McIntyre is going against a guy like Damian Priest, who you have to love because of how hard he works and blah, 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 blah. Chris, you're not wrong about any of those things, my dear, dear friend, but it's just so boring. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about Damian Priest. Damian Priest family, extended family in Puerto Rico. I apologize, but your son just doesn't have it with the crowd. The crowd doesn't hate him. The crowd doesn't overly love him. They just like him. And that just unfortunately isn't ever going to garner him the momentum to write a storyline that is going to land him on top for very long. I think he probably had his one shot at the belt, and that's where we are. And so, like you said, Jim, he's going to be in workhorse matches that we're supposed to care about, but don't really, right? He's gonna
Yeah.
fight your Finn Balor's and your AJ Styles and your Miz, and these are the matches he's going to be in.
Do we have a Solo Sokoa Jacob Fatu matchup, or do we have a Solo Sokoa and LA Knight matchup, or Fatu and LA Knight? What are you going to do with Solo Sokoa?
Probably that. I think you
Yeah.
got to lower Solo Sokoa at this point, right? I mean, he had his runs at Cody and it didn't work out for him. He had his
Yeah.
runs at the top of the bloodline table and Roman sort of took him down. So I think you got to lower him a notch, get him some wins, maybe get
Yeah.
another title belt wrapped around his waist, get us something that keeps him away from Fatu because I don't think you have Fatu step down to LA Knight. And again, I apologize to LA Knight, but you're
How
the
dare
US
you?
champion. It denotes a thing.
Sure.
I think you have Fatu start punching up, right? That's what I think you
Yeah.
have with Fatu.
I think so too. Solo is just a victim of circumstance here. There's so many huge storylines that it's really no room for him in the main event picture. So we need to, like you said, put him down a little bit there. Naomi against Jade Cargill, I think is going to happen at Mania. It could happen at the SmackDown before Mania. Um, but
Ouch.
well, I mean, well, I don't know. If you're Jade
We
Cargill,
got
you
two
probably want a
nights to
WrestleMania
fill,
match.
Jim. We got two
Yeah,
nights to fill. If they're gonna
you'll
have it a
you'll
squash, they can at least have it at Mania.
They'll do that, and then maybe an Alexa Bliss and a Liv Morgan also. That's CBS Sports has said
Ooh.
that that could be something that would happen, which I think would be pretty neat.
Is the Wyatt Six involved before that though?
Yeah, of course.
So then Liv Morgan and Raquel and New Day, or not New Day, listen to me.
Yes,
What's their name? Why can't Judgment Day? They're
Judgment
gonna
Day.
get involved with the Wyatt Six then?
They might.
That could be
Yeah,
cool.
why not?
Dom has been talking about a new member. Who would that be?
Karrion Cross.
No, he's not gonna join with the Karrion Cross as a Svengali. I like that he's around though,
Yeah,
and he's he's bubbling. He's bubbling underneath. We could unleash him somewhere somehow.
somehow we could do that. So Rod, what do we got going over the next couple weeks here on the Morganino Podcasting Network? We've got some NBA action coming up that we're going to need to talk about over the next couple weeks. A lot of things happening in the NBA, NFL as well.
I was gonna say I
With
think we
all the
might be able to get the handicapper
free
Josh
agent
Williams
frenzy.
back.
Yes,
Yeah, we could get his reactions to that. We could get his reactions to the draft, or we could get him on for some bets you could make about the draft ahead of the draft. We could do that.
sure,
We could
sure.
we could see if our guy Dax Storm or our guy Cowboy Derek maybe would like to check in and do some NBA predictions as we head towards the playoffs. That would be fun to do, I think. So
So yeah,
we
we
could
need to
definitely look
talk
forward to
about
that.
the table, the head of the table, which I think is down to two people, right?
Yeah, no, it's one of those tables off to the side, right, where they just have it's up against the wall and they just have two little stools pulled up to it.
Yeah.
That's the only MVP table that's left.
But there's like there's like big tables around you, so like you're part of like a huge group, even though you just want to be by each. Yeah.
And I think Jimmy, we have done this in the past. When you and I really put our heads together, we can concoct a draft that is lots of fun for the people. And so I think we should do something as we round towards the spring or the summer, one or the other. And we should come up with a new draft and get some of our friends together and have some fun on the Morganino podcast.
I think so too. How about White Lotus characters? Thoughts on the draft there?
Ooh,
Um,
I'd have to catch up. I did like the first season, but I didn't get the
oh, you
second.
haven't watched the second or third season?
No, I love me some Walton Goggins, so I'm excited for three possibly. But
Yeah.
I must admit, Jimmy, I'm getting my Walton Goggins right now by going back to Justified. I missed
Okay.
Justified seasons 4, 5, and 6, so I'm actually on Justified 4 right now. So I feel as if I'm watching Walton Goggins, even though I'm not doing White Lotus season 3.
Well, you would see more of him than you ever wanted to see. And with that, you've been listening to the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the Morgan Knows Podcasting Network. You're in the ring with Jimmy and Rod.
I think Chris is not here this week because he actually saw the same very episode that Jimmy is talking about, and it scarred him so much that he pulled in overtime at work because he contacted us during the show
Oh,
and
did he?
completely forgot after all of this time where we basically podcast on Thursday evenings at 9:30. He somehow forgot we were podcasting this evening, Jimmy. He is old.
He is old. He is tired. And all kidding aside, he does work very, very hard.
He
So you know
absolutely
what?
does.
That's okay. No problem at all, Chris. We love you, and we didn't have to talk about Drew McIntyre for 10 minutes. Goodbye, net. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.